Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a review of Unsouled by Wight, and I'm going to have to put a picture of the cover over here because I have nothing to show you because I actually consumed this book via Audible. I used one of my Audible credits to get this book. I rarely listen to audiobooks because of the fact that I only listen to them when I am running or when I am driving, because it normally takes 2 to 3 times longer for me to listen to an audiobook than it would be for me to actually physically read the book, because I read quite quickly. So, Unsouled by Wight was originally published in 2017. It's the first book of his Cradle Series. Currently there are 10 books in the series, and surprisingly enough, all of his books are self-published. He is considered one of the best selling self-published authors pretty much of this century. Kind of impressive, to be honest. Wight was born in 1989 in Tennessee, and he has a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, which he has put to great use. Actually, the Cradle Series he was writing while he was working on his master's degree, and after self-publishing the Traveler's Gate trilogy, it was so successful that he was able to become an author full-time and has quite the catalog of books now. And again, it's super impressive to be a independent, self-published author and to be so successful. As I stated, I listened to this versus physically reading it. The book, if you were to get it on Audible, is around 8 hours and 45 minutes. Again, 3 times longer than it probably would have taken me to read the book. It's performed by Travis Baldree, and I will say, as far as his performance goes, I actually really like his voice. I like the way he reads. I like the way he tries to do the voices. I like the richness in his performance he tried to instill in the story. There's only one criticism of his performance. There's a character in there named Yaren, so Aaron but with a Y at the beginning, and he has decided that she has an accent, and while he decided she has an accent, he's not great about using it every single time she is speaking. It'll either start off with her having an accent, and then as she continues speaking, it disappears, or she'll start speaking, and then as he's doing it, the accent comes back. That's the only qualms I have, and it's only that character. He seems to do well with all the other characters with different voices and accents. It's just Yaren that has that issue. So, as far as the book is concerned, it uses... I'm going to do my best to not do any spoilers. It follows the character Wei Linden, which Wei is his clan name, Shi is his family name, and then Linden is his given name. So Wei Linden is his full name, and he is the Unsouled. You find out in the book that he lives in a place called Sacred Valley, and to most of the inhabitants in Sacred Valley, there is only Sacred Valley. There is nothing outside of Sacred Valley. There are a few people that know that there are other people outside of Sacred Valley, but civilized people live only in Sacred Valley and not outside of Sacred Valley. And Linden follows the not like other characters trope. That's what I have called it. So the not like other characters trope is, it's either a positive, so something like Ender for, Ender's Game, where he's the child genius and he's not like other kids because he's the one that's going to save humanity. Or Harry Potter, the boy who lived, he is the one person that survived an attack from Lord Voldemort. Or it has a negative, not like other characters trope. And this book, I feel, has a lot of parallels to Midori in My Hero Academia, where, like Midori in My Hero Academia, he has no soul. Midori has no... If you don't read manga, you don't watch anime, Midori lives in a superhero world where everybody gets superpowers of some kind, and he is like the one kid that doesn't have a superpower until, you know, he gets one via other means. Similar to Lyndon in this book, where, you know, he gets tested at the young age that you're supposed to get tested at, and nothing happens. He doesn't have an affinity. He has, in his culture's eyes, no soul. So he has no ability to perform magic. It's magic. It's a fantasy series, but he does this interesting thing which I have never seen another author do, and it's specific to his Cradle series, where he has this iteration. So the book actually opens up with Baldtree performing this voice that sounds very monotone, very computer-like, where something is reciting information about the world, like, and the worlds are called iterations. So they're like different planets. I can never tell if the iterations are supposed to be planets or supposed to be dimensions, but there's a little bit of sci-fi in it. I feel like it's supposed to be strictly fantasy, but I feel like the iteration that he uses for world building makes it a little bit more sciencey. But in order to do the world building, or at least like do the heavy lifting for the world building, he breaks up the story with these iteration chunks where it's basically info dumping about either a character's background history, a civilization background, or an institution background. Like, there are 4 schools in Sacred Valley. So there's 3 clans. There's the Wei clan, the Kashaka clan, and then some other clan. Lee clan? I think it's the Lee clan. So there are 3 clans and 4 schools. Each school has their own mountaintop. So Sacred Valley, there are 4 mountains, and each peak has a separate school. The schools have the best sacred artists. So when you get tested, you find out what kind of sacred artist you're going to be for this valley. There are enforcers, rulers, strikers, and soulsmiths. So small soulsmiths they're basically the dwarves. They're not actually dwarves. They're not hairy and build stuff, but they make items using their soul, magic items using their soul. And then you have enforcers, which are like the people that are protectors, so they'd be like your tanks. You have strikers, which would be like your rogues or your rangers, where they do primarily like fighting. And then your rulers, which are your generals. Okay, so they rule over other people and things, or whatever their aspect is. And I find it an interesting way to info dump, the fact that he made this whole separate thing that breaks up these chunks of stories to where he does an info dump and then there's a chunk of story. And then when you get to a certain point, you're like, I want to know more about this thing that they've mentioned a few times. He'll do an info dump and then he'll move on with the story. It's just an interesting way to do it. So in this world, the older something is, it can become infused with a soul. So animals, for example, you know, my cat, if she lives long enough in this world, could become a sacred beast, and if she lived long enough, she would be able to talk and work magic and change shape. Right now she's just a cat because, you know, we don't live in the cradle. But also trees can become sacred as well. The longer they live, they can become, you know, ancient beings, and they don't move around, but they have their own aspects. And when you kill something with a soul, depending on how strong the soul is, you kill the thing, and then their soul will rise, and you have to kill the soul as well, which they call remnants. And so what happens is Lyndon, as an Unsouled, is trying to not be an Unsouled, because Unsouled are the lowest of the low. Like, they are less than. They are the undesirable. And they can't marry, they don't have as many rights. You know, if someone kills him just because they want to, nothing bad will happen to them. It's bad. So he's trying to not be an Unsouled anymore. So he's on a journey to go get an orris fruit and try to find an ancient orris fruit that will imbue him with with more chutzpah, more of a soul, and help make his soul stronger and hopefully make it so he can reach copper. And so he's on this journey to find this orris fruit. He finds an orris fruit, stuff happens. He's able to get the fruit, he eats half the fruit, and then there's a festival that the clans hold every year, the 7-year festival, and it's the Wight clan's turn to host it. And so he's now he's gonna fight in the tournament against a bunch of little kids, because again, if you are at the foundation stage, which means that you don't have, you're not copper yet, so there's levels of artists, of sacred artists. So you start out at the foundation stage, which is like, I just found out what I'm good at. I haven't like progressed at what I'm good at yet because I haven't done enough research or training yet, but hooray. And that's like for little kids. And then you have the copper stage, which is like for your pre-teens, teens. And then you get the iron stage, which is for like your mid-teens, your later teens. And then you get to, you just have different levels of progression as your soul gets stronger, as you get better trained in your aspect. So there are different aspects. There's aspect of the White Fox, which is what the Wight clan is based off of. They, it's light and dreams are their aspects that they train in. There's like, you find out there's a sword aspect, so good about sword mastery. There's other kinds, there's fire, there's water, there's hunger. There's all kinds of aspects. And the stronger you get, of course, the better you are. And the stronger your body is, the longer you can live, where you can eventually ascend, or at least that's what it relates to. And at this festival he's competing at, he's found a way to where he can win the festival and gain honor for his family and his clan. And it's interrupted by some spatial distortion in the world because another clan has managed to pull off this plot. So something happens at the festival, and I can't really go into anything more because there's a big conceit in there that makes it so Lyndon can become stronger. And that's about all I can tell you about the story. Do I want to listen to the rest of the Cradle series? Absolutely. I will say that Baldry did a great job in his performance. I would really prefer rather to read the books, but my TBR is very long, so because I could get all the books for free on Audible, I'm just going to do that and listen to it slowly. I really liked it. I like the character of Lyndon. I like the fact that the main character has many failures. Like I said, a lot like Midori in My Hero Academia, where you have this super underdog character and, you know, you want them to win, but they don't always win. They go through a lot of trial and tribulation, and they're through strength of their determination to do better, to be better, eventually gets there. But it takes a lot. I do recommend the book. I really liked it. I will link it down below if you're interested in it in any of the forms it's available. You can, I think if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. If you have Audible, get your credit, you can get it for free. I think a couple of his other books are also available if you have Audible Premium for free, which I think is kind of cool. And then also, you know, you could just buy the paperback because it's self-published for like 15 bucks, I think. But that'll be linked down below. I definitely want to continue the rest of the series. I really like Yaren, despite her missing accent sometimes, but I like Lyndon as a character. I like Yaren as a character. I like the struggles that they're going through, and I just think it's a neat bit of world building. It's an interesting premise, and good on Will Wight for being self-published again. So I will see you guys in another video. Hope you guys like this bonus video. I pretty much will only ever do audiobooks as bonus videos because I feel it's a little bit like cheating. But I'll see you again on Monday for another video. Bye! Bye.